Good morning, everyone. Dan Bates, President and CEO of the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, and we are so happy you could join us this morning on Coffee and Conversations. This morning, we'll get to our speakers in just a little bit, but you're going to hear from Karen Wessel and Kevin Grosse and Larry Sprinkle. And they're going to be looking to see if there is money on the table that you're due that you haven't yet claimed. So they will talk about how you're going to do that, both with utilities and with the employee retention credit. So this is the protocol. We are on Zoom. If you have questions of the speakers, you can either type them in the chat box or you can just ask them on the screen. If you're on Facebook Live, type in your questions and Laura will repeat those to the speakers. So with that being said, we're going to turn it over to Nancy for introductions.
Sure, thanks, Dan. I guess I'll start. I'm Nancy O'Neill with the Greater Hamilton Chamber, and I'm just going to go around my screen here. Sandy, if you want to introduce yourself.
Certainly. I am Sandy Kusnoff with Frank's Glass. We're a full-service glass company. We do automobile, residential, and commercial glass.
Thanks, Sandy. Zach?
Good morning, Zach Bohannon, field representative for Congressman Warren Davidson here in the 8th District of Ohio.
Thanks, Zach. Laura?
Hi, I'm Laura Merrill with the Greater Hamilton Chamber.
And then I guess Karen, Kevin, and Larry are all part of the program, so we will have them introduce themselves when they're ready to do the program.
Perfect.
Good. I think that's everyone.
I'll just interject here for our viewers. This will later be hosted on YouTube. So if you want to view this later or share it with somebody else, you can give them the YouTube link to that. Karen, it's all yours.
All right, thanks, Dan, Laura, and Nancy. First of all, to all who are watching this, I'm Karen Wessel. My company is Weskaren Enterprises. It is a marketing company. It is not a social media marketing company. I like to do things like use the phone, shake hands, write emails, et cetera, within that realm of businesses of trying to bring on new or old clients. So I've been at this in Cincinnati for the last 25 years. I had a company out in Boulder, Colorado, as well as Durango, Colorado. So lots of things in my past, lots of stories, but because I am a marketing company, I have a variety of clients, and each of those clients have different things and different kind of client that they're looking for. And this morning I'm introducing Kevin Grosse and Larry Sprinkle, who represent a company called NUR, N-U-R. It stands for National Utilities Refund. That company, their main focus is energy audits over a last 3 to 5 year period for companies that are larger, and they look for past discrepancies in energy bills. That same company that we refer to as NUR also discovered that with the advent of the pandemic, at the beginning of the pandemic, there's a whole lot of money put out there. At that time, companies had to make a decision between taking a lump sum or work with their number of employees. They had to decide one or the other. Most took the lump sum because the employee piece is very intense. So NUR discovered that because they had to make the choice, and then the government changed its mind, believe it or not, to say that you can now get both. So Larry and Kevin are going to speak on the piece that's the Employee Retention Credit, or ERC. That particular item, again, remember I said lump sum or employee. Many companies, again, don't know that they now qualify for both. We're going to talk on, even if you haven't done for the regular PPP, again, all those acronyms, NUR has a way to help, and Kevin and Larry are going to talk on that. And so I'm going to turn it over to Kevin at this point and let him introduce the ERC program from NUR.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen. And Dan, thanks so much for letting us be part of this. I mean, you guys are awesome, and we appreciate the chance to help people that could use some reimbursement for some of the pandemic problems that we've had, of course. Again, my name is Kevin Grosse. I'm a small business owner. I do professional recruiting to small to medium-sized manufacturing companies. That's my primary business. I'm also a client of Karen and work with Larry on the utility audit and the employee retention program that we'll talk about. So I think all of us kind of do a lot of things, wear a lot of hats, and so it's just part of what we do. But anyway, as Karen talked about, there's two programs that sometimes companies don't realize that there is an additional one. It's actually even a sweeter deal than the PPP program. So for 2020, I'm going to talk some specific numbers. I thought we'd cut to the chase in terms of what we can potentially find for people. For 2020, just for that year, there's a refundable credit for $5,000 per employee. That's originally with businesses of 100 employees or less, but what the government did is actually change that to up to 500 people can be eligible for that amount per employee. In addition to that, for 2021, there can be $7,000 additional per employee for each one qualifying for 2021 with a maximum of only 3 quarters. So I mean, bottom line for all those 2 years could be up to $26,000 per employee. Now there's a lot of details that go with it, and I guess that's what we do, is look into all the details of a company and whether or not they would qualify. Typically it's some type of full or partial suspension of operations that affected your income. For 2020, a decrease in revenue or receipts of 50% or greater compared to 2019. 2019 is considered the kind of the normal year for everybody, and then everything tanked starting in 2020 itself. So 50% loss of revenue in 2020, and then 20% or greater loss in 2021. So it's a typical audit type situation where you're looking at the actual P&L of a company and see if there's been degradation of their revenue. There's also a kind of nice handy sheet that speaks of what are considered an essential business that are non-essential, or essential is part of the whole qualification. So if you're a non-essential, that's typically who would have been affected the most by this when you actually are forced to shut down. And restaurants, hotels, banks, credit unions were typical that were actually partially or completely shut down. And those are probably the prime candidates, or just simple loss of revenue. Even though they were open, the revenues dropped for whatever reason. People just didn't get out. So anyway, that's kind of in a nutshell what we look for, and we handle all the details. I mean, is this something that someone could do themselves? Yeah, you could, but it's like anything else. It's you can either have some amount of it or nothing. A lot of people just don't even realize that there is an opportunity for reimbursement, and the government is very generous. And I believe the program goes through 2023, I believe.
Yes.
So anyway, that's kind of a nutshell what we've got. So Larry, you want to talk about some of the details?
Yeah. Again, I want to say thank you for hosting us to educate people about some of the programs out there. At this point, it's how do you obtain the credit? Part of the paperwork that's needed. The paperwork will be coming from the accountant or your CPA. Work directly with them because they have all the employee records, payroll sheets, and that's what's used for NER to find out who's qualified and how much you get. It's a detailed type of thing, and the accountant or CPA could do it, but they have to have as NER is telling us, a CPA or accountant has to restructure themselves to be able to do it because it's so detailed analysis that the government is very fussy about, and NER has CPAs on board. They have the CPAs on board due to all the energy audits they follow or do. So there's lots of government regulations that people don't know about, and that's why it's easier for us to have you work with NER to do the analysis to make sure everything is done correctly, to be able to get the amount of money that you earn on it. So for the details of the employee payroll records, once the CPA or the accountant identifies and said to provide the information, NER will provide a locked Dropbox. So everything goes into the Dropbox and sent directly to NER. So the employee records are not out. We don't see them. We have no idea. No one else sees them, but everything just goes to NER for doing the analysis. So everything's very secured and private. All that information is private at the same time. The money that you get, that is for the business. It is not to be given to the employees unless you want to, but that is for the business to do with as they wish. There's some confusion about that. When initially I had one customer turn me down, a restaurant, because that's what he was thinking, is that employees was going to benefit from that. And he said they had received plenty at the time when he went through the PPP and worked it out, and they've been rewarded. And at the time that I was talking to him, I thought he was talking about the government, but he was talking about his employees itself. So I just want to emphasize the money that's obtained is for the business to do with whatever. If you want to share with your employees, you can. Or at this point, with all the other expenses and business has, more than likely, they will use it for that purpose. There are 0 out-of-pocket costs for us to do the analysis. Everything is on a contingent basis. It's all done on a contingency basis. So we get the records, have your CPA or accountant send the records to NER. They do the analysis. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the size of the company. If they only have 7 or 5 to 10 employees, won't take as long, but some companies, we can go up to a company that has 500 employees if they want, but we're really not looking to be in that market, but we never know when that opportunity. Okay.
Well, Larry, I think
Sorry.
we,
For some
I think
reason
we
got
missed.
muted.
Okay.
I'm back on now. I don't know how I got muted, but anyway. So I was just saying there's no out-of-pocket costs for us to do the analysis. You have the benefit of knowing if you qualify or not without putting 1 cent out. So that's very encouraging that it doesn't cost you anything to find out how much money you're going to be getting from the government through the ERC. So once someone decides what you want to do, we will give you a sheet to forward to the CPA or accountant, and they'll be looking at the quarterly records, and everything is explained for them. They just put all that information into the secured lockbox to send to NUR. Then they will take their accountant, the CPAs at NUR will take out the time to analyze it and get back to you. So that's basically what the program is. It's very simple. All we're asking you is to allow the paperwork to go to your CPA and accountant. They gather it, send it into NUR. Then in a couple of weeks, you'll find out, maybe as short as 5-7 days, you'll be finding out how much money you have coming into your company that you didn't know that you had coming. So that's basically what the program is.
Larry, speak on just
Back
for
to
a
you, Karen.
moment. Larry, speak again for just a moment on, we are in this presentation really emphasizing about the employee retention credit. When we spoke with NUR, actually they are out of Pennsylvania. When we spoke with them, there are other reasons that companies didn't apply for any of the other programs. And it's another piece that NUR can easily look at. And again, everything is on that contingency basis. So it's that client, NUR, along with your company relationship of, finding the monies. And it just shocks me. All of you on the call know of Self here in Butler County. It shocks me that how many millions and billions of dollars from the pandemic monies is still being distributed. I'm sorry, it's not being distributed because the applications aren't coming in. I work closely with Jeff Diver from Self, and there's still people that are receiving from Self monies because of pandemic problems. So I like to really come back and emphasize how the reason for having a third party do this rather than your bookkeeper, accountant, or whomever, because of the intensity and the time. The program itself, I believe, Larry, correct me, I believe the program is only another 18 months to be able to apply. So again, that's part of what we're, why we're pushing on this. And a big reason why whoever you use to do your payroll really doesn't want to mess with it, because they'd much rather work with you, working with your payroll things, your financial things, and not have to worry about going through all the typical government bureaucracy that's necessary.
Hello, this is Larry Diagnostics. How can I help you?
I'm sorry? I heard
Someone
somebody.
was speaking, I don't know.
I think they weren't muted and they shouldn't have been speaking probably. So just go on.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Karen's saying. There's a lot of confusion. A lot of companies, business people believe that they have checked everything out, that their CPA or their accountant, they have great faith in them, and that they have the feeling that they're on top of things. But this is one area where NUR has kept telling us there's too much confusion in what the accountant or CPA may know, they don't understand completely. So with it being a contingency basis that costs nothing to find out for sure and get more of the experts that knows the government regulations to see if you qualify for the ERC program. There's at times that Vince from NUR has told us that there be sometimes a business person will get their CPA and put on the line, and Vince has to correct the CPA and explain more details as to why they can do it, whereas it's the CPA has been not really fully informed as to the details of the program. So lots of confusions. Confusions are easily wiped away with just CPA or the accountant sending in the information. We provide the sheet that explains the details. It's what's needed. They send it in to NER, and then in 5-7 days or 2 weeks, you have an answer as to yes, you qualify, or maybe the business for some reason did not qualify. But it's that simple. Very simple program. No effort on anyone's part except for NER doing all the heavy work.
Kevin, what else you want to add to all of this? Anything at the moment?
The whole idea, it's nothing out of pocket. There's no risk, and it's something that people typically don't get to for the reasons it's already been explained. So, we just like to have a conversation with someone that may not be aware of the secondary program. The PPP is most common, and we're finding a lot of companies either, well, it used to be you can only take one, but now they opened up, you can take both. So there's a lot of things have changed that the people just simply aren't aware of. So just an opportunity for a conversation is what we'd like to do. Yeah.
Okay, Laura, I'm gonna go ahead and do a screen share if I can. I'm of the age bracket that is computer illiterate, I think sometimes, and then every once in a while I surprise myself. What I have on the screen for you now is the items that we would be asking of the company to provide to us for us to make that determination of whether you qualify or not. And you can see it's terribly intense. You're looking at profit and loss for 2019, 2020, 2021. Looking for tax forms, you're looking for your just a whole bunch of stuff is here. So at the point that we have the agreement with you that we're doing this, we send you this piece of paper, you get all this stuff gathered together, or your accountant, your bookkeeper, whomever, send it off to NER and they look at it. What I would like to really comment on is Larry and Kevin have indicated it's a very short process to figure out whether or not you qualify. On your part, the hard part is getting all this information together. The process of NER helping make a decision whether you qualify is within, I'm going to say 2 weeks to give everybody a little bit of time here. But I was really just reading my own notes, and the ERC check from the government will be mailed to the company, your company, and they're saying that's an average of 180 days from the application. So this is not a short process as far as getting your money. It's a short process in figuring out if you qualify. And then again, we're back to government things that say it takes time, but that check comes to your company. And then again, contingency basis, you then reward, I like that word, you would reward NER a portion of that money, and it's a very minimal proportion. I'm trying to look here, another note I was circling. Oh, and I just really want to emphasize what these monies look like. And I know Kevin mentioned it at the beginning, but you're looking at 2021 and 2020 and 2021 with a refundable credit of up to $7,000 per employee for each qualifying quarter. So if you do some math in all of this, the total an employer can receive is up to $26,000 per employee if they were employed during that period of time, 20 and 21. That is, I mean, my mind can't quite get grasped around that, of the excitement of that, of $26,000. So if you've been in business, I know when Dan and I were talking about this program and other programs, the chamber is so awesome. And during that pandemic time, and Dan, I'd really like you to kind of throw your figures out of how the chamber was so important, I guess is a good word, to the businesses in your organization, your membership, for them to be able to retain business during that period of time. So, you know, I'm just really pleased to be part of the chamber just for that piece. But again, a lot of money on the table. I'm also looking at my notes again and reiterating with Kevin and Larry, the timeline for the ERC would be to return the audit agreement with us to NER, upload the checklist of documents that I showed you, which is again, can be cumbersome to locate all of that. The CPA within NER performs initial review. Tax team prepares a report for your company on the ERC and whether or not you're eligible. And then I really was impressed by the way they even stated this. When business is ready to proceed, we will file the necessary documents to obtain the refund. So you as a company have total control of timing, et cetera, within in this process. Seems trying to look at my notes again. And yes, I mean, we really also want to emphasize your people who are doing your payroll are very important and valuable. And because of the intensity, this is being overlooked and not found by many people. And we're here to try to figure that out. I don't think I have much else on that.
Are there any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I think it is worth people looking into. What Karen was referring to is during the pandemic, we pulled our numbers after this to see if we qualified. We did not as a chamber because we actually showed a profit in all those quarters instead of a loss. So then we didn't qualify. You have to have, you can't show like a 15% profit, which we did during the pandemic, increase in revenue. So good for us, but that doesn't mean we qualify for the additional funds. But yeah, I mean, we've tried to be very intentional since the pandemic first hit, which is why we're doing things like today to get people the money they deserve, make sure that people applied for, you know, EIDL early on and then PPP and all of that. So there is money out there. You know, what happens if it's not utilized is it just kind of sits there for a while, and the government is going to have to reassess what they're going to do with leftover funds, and it won't be there forever. So I'm sure they'll put it towards something eventually. So I thank you for this presentation because it's not a hard process. It does take a little time to pull your documentation. But it's money you didn't anticipate, so it's probably worth the time.
Thank you for that, Dan.
And it's well worth that. I just want to say it's well worth following up on that. It's your money that's sitting there. Why let the government waste it? Put it in your pocket. You've earned it if the company qualifies.
I am going to call on Zach for a minute, being with Congressman's office. Zach, has your office been involved in any of this? Are they aware of the additional funds or?
We certainly have over the last couple of years. I'm not aware of a lot of the efforts more recently. It doesn't mean we aren't assisting with it, but that's one of the reasons I tuned in today to hear more about what kind of funds are available and to offer, you know, our assistance if you need help kind of sorting through some of the government regulations or any assistance at all. So yeah, I can speak with our district director to see what kind of conversations we've had with businesses in the last 6 to however many months recently. So certainly after the new year.
Kevin, I think you started to say something.
No. Yeah, I guess just to get the word out, there's sometimes just simply an unawareness of what's there. I mean, it's easy to kick this off. There's really obviously there's paperwork to allow us to do the work on your behalf, but it's pretty minimal. And in fact, if someone wants to actually talk to the main auditor that will be doing the work, Vince, super nice guy, very informative. In fact, he tried to be on the call here to speak for any specific details, but he's always on call to support people that are maybe skeptical. I mean, let's just throw it out there, because a lot of times the government, if you start sending your financial records, there can be some suspicious, why are they using that, or what could they use that for? So he can help dismantle that in terms of what he's seen. So there's always that skepticism.
Kevin, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've had a couple chamber members reach out to me, first of all, to see if you guys are legitimate. And second of all, when they even got notifications from the government about their PPP loan, they think it's spam. So, I mean, I can understand their concerns, but even one of our chamber members who I said, no, it's not spam, I have the same message and this is what they're asking. He said, well, I asked my accountant said I should not touch it, it's spam. So,
Really?
Wow.
people are so afraid of scammers that, they may not respond to an email that could actually generate some funds. I do have a quick question. Since this is federal and I think you said NER is out of Pennsylvania, I assume that you guys can do an application for anybody regardless of where they're located, because we do have members in Northern Kentucky and Indiana. So I would assume that you could do help a business no matter where they are.
Very good question. And yes, it's nationwide. So if anyone in Indiana or Northern Kentucky wants to apply or hear about it, they can contact us and we'll be happy to work with them, but it's nationwide, and they may have some friends that in other parts of the country that could benefit from it also. So once someone comes on board, any referrals are greatly appreciated besides.
I even put Vince's phone number, Vince DeMaio's phone number in the chat box. So if anybody wants to visit with him, he's kind of hard to catch, but he does return his calls, and he'd be happy to talk about any of the details to whatever, explain to people how he does it and the confidentiality, I guess, as well.
Kevin, or Dan, first give us permission to do this, because chat on the video would not be captured. Would it be okay for us to have Kevin on this video give Vince's phone number?
Sure.
Okay, Kevin, would you do that then?
Okay,
So it's on the video?
610-462-9818 is Vincent DeMaio. He's the lead auditor.
Actually,
You typed 10.
yeah, it's 10.
Oh, okay. Okay, 610-462-9818. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a 981. Okay, sorry.
All right, thank you.
Is it 18 or is it 10?
It's 18. I'm
Okay.
sorry,
Okay.
my confusion.
The other thing we could do, Laura, we could probably pull a phrase from the initial presentation, put it on our e-newsletter with a link to this once it hits the YouTube, and something about unclaimed funds that you may be entitled to. Watch this for further details. So we'll do that as well.
Well, and I appreciate, Dan, that you shared with us that an accountant told one of the members it is spam.
Yeah.
Point blank,
Yeah.
don't deal with them. And that is one of the hardest things in this world,
Yeah.
of all the junk that comes through our emails. And it is hard to put in subject lines or anything where people are turned off. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, because it does give, to me at least, one of those little red flags to be saying to people, we know and we want you to be checking with your accountant. We just want to have a chance. And, you know, they're easily found on Better Business Bureau, et cetera. NER is a reputable company, been around for quite a while. So I guess that's it, Laura. If there aren't any other questions, I want to again thank the Chamber for allowing us to be here on the Coffee and Conversation. I want to thank Larry and Kevin for coming on board to give more detail to everyone. And hope everybody's enjoying the sunshine. It's not so hot these last couple of days.
Yes, Karen, thank you. Thank you. Taking time for you and Kevin and Larry. We appreciate that. Like Dan said, we'll add it to the e-newsletter, and then I will also make it an article on the front page of our website on the news releases, add it to that. And if anyone has any questions, would either three of you like to share your contact information? If anybody would like to contact you directly with any questions before they proceed.
Karen can provide the numbers for your articles.
Well, actually, I'm going to actually bump that, Larry, because, you know, we have talked about this. Kevin, do you want to be the receiver of this? The reason I'm doing this, and it is on the video, because of my marketing company, I'm wanting to try to make sure that this is clear that NER is via Larry and Kevin is one of my clients. And so therefore I would like whatever you're putting in out there for people to contact should really go to either Larry or Kevin. So one of you two jump in and say yay or nay to your phone number.
That's fine. I put mine in the chat, 513-320-9950.
Okay, perfect. If anybody has any questions, please let us know. We will have this out on YouTube soon. Looks like our next coffee is scheduled for Tuesday, July 12th, 9 a.m. back here on Zoom. So we look forward to hearing from you. Oh, looks like Larry, we've got his information. Larry is 631-896-6217. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to contact Kevin or Larry, and they will help you out and get your information and get everything organized for you. So thank you to the three of you for taking some time with us today, and we'll see you back here in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Very good.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.